What's good, guys? Jay Lee here with Northwest Podcast. Today, I'm going to talk about why hypergamy is mostly a false concept, why it's mostly a lie. I admit, like everybody else, when I first took the red pill, it made a lot of sense to me. Hypergamy. I bought into it. I felt like, well, yes, women are, gold diggers. They like guys who have their stuff together, things like that. Well, I don't think that that's particularly hypergamy in the strict sense, because if you really think about it, hypergamy, that concept doesn't actually make sense. It doesn't actually make sense when you think about it. If women are constantly marrying up, right? If women are constantly dating up, etc., then and this concept is really easy for guys to get a hold of because guys are competitive. We just are by nature. And it's easy for us to be like, well, yeah, it makes sense that the guy with the best scenario, the best situation, he's the one getting all the girls because he's not a chump and a loser like these other guys. I don't think it's as cut and dry as that. I don't think it's as animalistic as that. That's too simple. That's too simplified. What it really is when you look at female biology, when you look at even male biology, we want a partner who is physically healthy. We want a partner who has their stuff together in the sense that they are not going to drag us down. And I think that that's not just female biology, that's male biology as well. Of course, it just goes without saying that you want somebody who's fit and attractive, because this is what our male and females, that's part of our sexual cues. That's if you talk about looks, money, status, right? This is the number one thing, looks, right? So looks is very important. Why? Because biologically, we are attracted to the opposite sex that's fit. Why? Because fit has to do with reproduction. We want to produce good children. It's not that we want to produce advanced children. See, if we're talking about hypergamy would indicate that we would want to produce advanced children. I don't think that's the case. I think we just want to produce fit children. We want to produce healthy children. We want to produce children that are not going to be sick, that are not going to have disease, etc. So it's not that we're advancing. If you look at hypergamy, how it's defined today, it would indicate progressivism, right? And I don't like that, the whole idea of progressivism, etc., because it really has to do with this advancement culture that we live in. That's hyper advancement. It's hyper progressive. It's too much. Like, just enjoy what you have. If it's not broke, don't fix it type of thing. But everybody's always trying to push things. I don't know if we got that in the 50s or the 60s. There's been this culture where we try to push things to the next level. Let's see how far we can go. Let's make it to the moon. Let's make it to Mars. Let's make it to Jupiter. Let's make it to the next dimension. Like, just calm down and enjoy what you got. You know what I mean? But there's been this real progressive kind of mentality that has seeped into our kind of subconscious thinking. And I think that this is part of that. I really do. I think it's a real chunk part of it, where men are like, oh yeah, that plays right into my competitive side. It really makes sense that women are going to choose me over some other guy because I think I'm better than other guys. And it plays into that arrogance, where we have this competitive side where, this is why we like to play sports. This is why we like to, get in physical shape, because we want to be better than other people. But really, that's not something that is, I don't think that that's fundamentally human. I argue that that's not fundamentally human. I think that humans, fundamentally, we want to be happy and we want to have our own things, etc. But I don't think as humans we want to put others down and to uplift ourselves. That's more like a sociopath. If you see that movie, There Will Be Blood, with Daniel Day-Lewis, he's a sociopath. He's somebody who wants to see others fail and suffer so that he can succeed and win. That's not a human trait. That's a sociopathic trait, right? So how does that apply to the manosphere? Well, if you take this hypergamy concept and then guys grab it and run with it and be like, yeah, women are choosing the hottest guys and the guys with the best resources, etc., then it's like it becomes a competition thing. And then it plays into that narcissism and that male arrogance where males take that concept and run and say, "Oh, I gotta beat out all the other guys." Da, da, da. When in reality, it's simpler than that. It's not that hypergamy enables women. Well, it is that hypergamy enables women. That concept of hypergamy enables women, actually. But it's not that hypergamy means that women are going to choose up. What they really are confusing is just basic human nature, human biology that wants attractive and well-rounded partners. Nobody wants to go to a girl's house and she's, her floor is dirty and she can't cook and she eats like shit and she's overweight. Nobody wants that. Even if she's an attractive girl, you see this, and women get away with it in today's day and age because men are so cucked. We don't have standards, right? And we want pussy so bad, and we're so sex driven because we live in an overly sexualized society, right? And now we've gotten to the point where we've made excuses for that, and we've taken away any kind of standards in women that we ever had before. And now we can go to a woman's house and she could be eating out of pizza boxes. She could have no utensils. She's eating with plastic forks, and her floor is dirty, and et cetera, and we'll put up with that. Many of us will, as long as she's decently attractive and we're getting some pussy. But that means you have no standards, and that means you're playing into her bad behavior, right? But like I said, if you really think about it and you really get into what is attractive to the opposite sex, it comes down to just biology. It's just biology. We want somebody who's attractive, and we want somebody who's fit. But when you say women are hypergamous, and so therefore I'm going to play into this by improving myself so that I can qualify to women, you're actually giving them the upper hand, right? You're giving them the upper hand. You're giving them the power, and you're giving them more power in the sexual market. Okay, so what's being confused is that immoral female behavior is being confused for their biology. People. Guys are taking away morals as if women were just animals without any higher rationale, as if women couldn't choose a man for his personality or his character, right? They have to choose him for the looks, money, status. It has nothing to do with his personality, nothing to do with his character. But that's not the truth. The truth is they do choose men for their personality and character. It's just that we don't see that. We often see the worst female behavior, and then we think, oh, that's all females. And it's easy to do that because a lot of times in the mainstream female femisphere, if you will, we see really choosy women. This is what we see in our pop culture and our mainstream media. We see really choosy women because they're allowed to be choosy because they're attractive, and guys will do anything for them because guys haven't figured out how to have standards. Guys haven't figured out how to sort of equalize that balance, and women have taken over the sexual market because guys are pushovers. Guys are, I'll do anything for her in this culture of where the man is the one who's initiating the mating. The man is the one who's initiating the courtship behavior. Women have taken that and run. Oh, well, guys are pushovers. They have no backbone. They'll do anything for pussy. They'll say anything for pussy. They'll buy pussy, et cetera, just so they can get pussy. And what are they going to do? What have women done? They've commoditized themselves. They've turned themselves into a commodity. And what guys have done is they've said, this is hypergamy. No, it's just women are taking that power and running with it. Oh, you're going to give me all your money? Okay, I'll take more. Okay, I'll ride this train for as long as I can. But if you look at the results of that, there's nothing positive as far as mating goes. There's nothing positive as far as family relationships, etc. goes. A lot of times, if there's no love in a household, then you raise bad kids. So you could argue and say, oh, well, I've made a great choice by choosing this guy who has a $75,000 job as opposed to those other guys who had $30,000 jobs. But the question is, do you have love in your household? You might raise a psycho. Look at Elliot Rodger. He came from a rich family. I mean, that's just one story. It's an anecdotal story, but all kinds of kids. I used to live in a rich area. All kinds of kids are unhappy. You know what I mean? Because their parents don't love each other. That's actually Elliot Rodger was an extreme case, but his home life was fairly common, I believe. I believe his home life is fairly common. There's a lot of kids who are on antidepressants, a lot of kids who are just severely depressed because their parents don't have much love for each other, because the dad's always working. The mom chose the dad because he's got a great job. He's making $75,000. So they live in an upper middle class or an upper class neighborhood as opposed to a middle class or a lower class neighborhood. And this is why she chose the man, but yet they're not happy at home. They get divorced, or the kids are on Ritalin, the kids are on antidepressants, SSRIs, whatever. And nobody's really looking at home. Nobody's really saying, well, do your parents love each other? Do they treat you right, etc.? They just, slap a label on you as depressed and dysfunctional and throw you into the special class and throw you, throw these medications at you, right? So that's not a perfect explanation, because what would be the best case scenario? The best case scenario is finding somebody you love. What is life all about? Oh, it's just about mating. You're just boiling the whole thing down to procreating, when in reality, life is about love. Life is about passion, loving something. I'm happy in life because I'm a photographer and I'm passionate about being a photographer. I love to go out and take pictures, and that makes me fulfilled and that makes me happy. Well, why wouldn't it be the same thing in a marriage? Oh no, I've taken away all that love and all that passion that I have for my wife or my husband or whatever, and I've just replaced it with, or I would have had for my wife or my husband, but then I just replaced it with, I'm just marrying this person because it's going to be a good situation for my future, because I'm going to live in an upper class, great house, and that's what I think is happiness. When in reality, no, that's not love. You're putting yourself in a situation where, sure, you might be in a good environmental situation, but you're not happy. You're not really happy or fulfilled deep down inside. You just put yourself in a good situation for the next 40 years until you die, which is whatever, but that's your choice. Okay, you live in a great neighborhood, you have a great house, and that seems like the dream. It's just that, do you really have love is the question. And I don't think these people, a lot of these people out here really have love. But that's not the whole story. There are other people who okay, they take a pay cut. They meet somebody who only makes $30,000 a year. They meet somebody who shares their passions, and maybe they're painters, and maybe they live in a two bedroom loft in the city that they both pay, and it costs $1,400 a month, that they're both barely scraping through, and they don't have kids because they can't afford it, but they love each other and they love their lives because they're both passionate about painting or something like that, right? So these are all nuanced things and nuanced situations that hypergamy doesn't take into account. Hypergamy is just like this cut and dry thing where, like, oh yes, women are always choosing up, etc. So hypergamy is just an explanation for why women a lot of times are so base, because I think choosing somebody based on their money or their status or their looks is really lower brain. It's really kind of reptilian brain. It's like, oh, well, you got nice tits and you're in shape, so I'm going to marry you. Well, it's like, maybe it's like that can be attractors. Maybe I'm attracted to you because you have nice tits and because you're in shape. But do I really love you? Like, you know what I mean? So that's the question. Do you really love somebody? Right. And a lot of times, in our society, because it's like you're not taking other things into account. Well, we gave women freedom socially, and there's no more stigma on women being sluts, etc. That all ended in the 60s, right? So now women have just been given carte blanche to go out and sleep with whoever they want. And what are they going to do? Are they going to sleep with, the fat, overweight guy who eats pizzas and sits on he sits on his couch all night, the Seth Rogans of the world? No, Seth Rogen is an anecdote. Him getting laid in movies is just a joke. That guy doesn't get laid in real life. He's the lovable, chubby, nice guy that, oh, isn't it so cute that he gets laid? But he doesn't really get laid in real life. The guys who get laid in real life are the guys who are buff, etc. Because this is what we want. We want physically sexual people. If we're talking about just strictly sex, but sex is not love, right? And so, and I question, like, somewhere along the line, guys are letting women get away with not having any accountability, right? Guys are, taking responsibility on themselves for poor female behavior. Oh, she's sleeping with this guy. It must be my fault that she's not sleeping with me. Or maybe she shouldn't be sleeping with anybody. Have you ever thought about that? It's not that women need better principles in how they sleep with men and under what conditions, but it's just women aren't choosing. No, actually, it's not that guys are thinking Like, guys aren't thinking like women need better principles. Women need to stop being sluts. Guys aren't thinking that. Actually, guys are thinking, well, how can I get her to choose me to have sex with? Which is the wrong kind of thinking. Guys shouldn't be basing the whole thing on sex. That's wrong from the very beginning. It should be about love and a long-term relationship. It's like sex is great, but the problem is our society pushes that on us too much, right? What it really should be about between men and women is love and a long-term relationship. That should be the criteria, right? But we have this over-sexualized porn culture society that we live in, where, oh gosh, I'm gonna, I need to go have sex. What type of guys or women choosing to have sex with is not necessarily this type of guys that women should be choosing for love. 60% of marriages end in divorce. So you can't listen to some guy out there who's taking the red pill and like, he hasn't held down a love relationship. He got divorced himself, and he's sitting here trying to tell you that women choose up. No, it's not that women choose up. It's that women don't have morals. And then because they have the sexual, and men don't have morals either, for that matter. Our society doesn't have morals, and women have the power in the sexual market. So it's very easy for them to cheat. And the only thing they have to keep them from cheating is just that slut shaming stigma, which is very much gone out the window. Slut shaming is not really a thing anymore. Nobody cares. In fact, that kind of behavior is encouraged, which means our society is really damaged, right? So what criteria is important for you to choose a woman? Well, one of the first things that was lost was men stopped caring about how loose women are sexually. We should be in any guy's standard of criteria. It makes sense. Why, if you want a suitable female, why shouldn't she have morals? Do you want your children to not have morals? Do you want your children to grow up and not give a crap about morals? No, you would want your children to have self-control. You would want your children to be moral, because that's proper, because that's right, because you don't want them going out and sleeping with a bunch of people, getting a bunch of STDs, getting people pregnant, that they'd have horrible lives. But this is what these guys are doing. They're enabling women to be loose and even encouraging that behavior because they themselves have no morals. They don't even know what morals are. They think, oh, I gotta rub up to a woman and I gotta make her be impressed to me, when in reality, you need to find somebody who's good for a long-term relationship, for love, somebody who has morals, right? Oh, you're not the most fit male. Oh, that slut didn't choose you. Darn, poor you. Actually, you won if she didn't choose you, right? You won, because if she did choose you, then you'd have all her problems. You'd have all her baggage, all the dudes she slept with in the last 5-10 years, those hundreds of guys she slept with. That's all your baggage now, right? So these guys are okay with wifing down sluts as long as they think I'm the most fit male. That plays into your competitive, arrogant bullshit. The truth is that both men and women want fit and healthy, attractive partners, because healthy and attractive means good, healthy children. That's biology. However, all the rest of it isn't necessarily biology, because it's excessive. Only dating rich men is not hypergamy. It's excessive. You don't need $1 million to have love. It's excessive. That actually, for me, that turns me off instantly, because it means she's shallow. She's not looking for anything in my character. She's not looking for anything in my personality. She wants to know what I do for work, and then she's going to try to see if we're compatible in our character and this, that, and the third. That should not be her number one criteria. That's a red flag. If her number one criteria is that she wants a guy who's rich and has money, that's a red flag that she's shallow. And you don't want to have children with a shallow woman, because the children will be shallow. Children will grow up to not have any substance, not have any character, not have any morals. So if I was rich, I would never date down, because it means that my partner didn't match me. She would need to make just as much money as me and be able to be independent as I am independent without me. So if she's not, then that alludes to her being shallow. She was choosing me because I have money. And so it's like, if I ever was rich, I could never marry a woman who wasn't on my level, right? I would never date down, right? So one of the first things that I think of when, I think what would be a good mother is a woman with morals, a woman who knows right from wrong. How could a woman who slept with dozens of guys know what morals are and know what's the difference between right and wrong? This is why men need standards. Instead of having standards, guys are so cucked. They actually lower themselves, thinking that they're uplifting themselves to impress women. You're actually lowering yourself. You're not uplifting yourself because, oh, I'm improving. And no, you're improving yourself to impress women who are sluts. That's all kinds of wrong. And this is how far we've gone in our society. We are improving ourselves outwardly and trying to jump through these hoops that women have put out for us, when in reality, these women aren't even worthy of that because they don't have love, they don't have morals, right? This is how far we've let our women go, to the point where they're actually cucking us psychologically. They're cucking us psychologically, and they're doing it through the use of sex. They're saying, "Here, you can't have this cookie unless you jump through these hoops. I got this nice pussy. I got these nice titties. You can't have none of this unless you're a rich guy. Unless you're this." And this is what women are. This, if you look at their behavior, this is what they're doing. This is exactly what they're doing. And this is why hypergamy is bullshit. That's not hypergamy. That's what what women are doing there. That's just manipulation. She's manipulating you. They're manipulating men. And they're living with impunity because they don't have morals, because they've taken what society has given them and they've ran with it. And to think, oh, well, women have no accountability, women have no agency. Yes, they do. You have agency for your behavior. Everyone does. Everyone has to take responsibility for their own behavior. The problem is we're not assigning them agency. We are not assigning them accountability. In society, we are giving in to them. We are giving in to this bad behavior. In fact, even to the point where we're worshiping these women. What is it when you go to the gym constantly? And it's like, I'm not saying you shouldn't go to the gym, and I'm not saying you shouldn't get better clothes. I'm not saying you should make more money. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't improve yourself. But if your goal in doing that is just so that you can impress a woman who has no morals, who has no value on her own body, and she'll sleep with anybody, you're crazy for that. You're crazy for that, because she's not going to be a good mother, and you're probably not going to have love. She's not going to be able to pair bond. She's not going to be able to form a loving relationship with you, because she's given herself away to 50, 100 partners before she met you. Who knows the number? Hopefully it's under 20. Hopefully it's under 10. Hopefully it's under 5. Probably not, though, because people in this society, in this day and age, young people under 30 do not have morals. I would say even under 40 now. A whole generation has been lacking in morals. A whole generation raised by internet porn. A whole generation raised by, music and movies that are so sexualized, over-sexualized, hyper-sexualized, to the point where that is not even a thing anymore. Most people do not care how many partners there, even to the point where they say it's none of my business. What the fuck? I've heard people say it's none of my business how many partners my wife has had. Yes, it fucking is your business, man. Yes, it is your business, because that's your wife. That's the person who you're going to live with for the rest of your life. You're going to want to know the facts about her past. Why? Why does that matter? Because 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, if she was slutting around before she met you, she might just want to go back to that lifestyle if she gets bored. It's very easy for her to do so. If when she met you, she had a very low lay count, like between 1 and 5, chances are she's going to be faithful to you, because her mind isn't all about sex, and she hasn't gotten corrupted by that lifestyle. That just makes sense, man. If she does not have morals, she's not going to be a good wife. She's not going to be a good mother. Oh, it's okay. And this is what these people today, they have no morals. People in society, they have no morals. And they think that that's normal, to even to the point where this is pussy pandering at its finest, the concept of hypergamy. And this is what a lot of men in the red pill sphere are doing. Some of these guys, like MGTOW guys, are walking away and they're saying, oh, because women are hypergamous, I don't want to have anything to do with it. What? Take heart, guys. Those type of guys. And then if you have the opposite of MGTOW, you got PUA guys who accept the red pill. And what they've done with the red pill is they've said, well, I'm going to improve myself so I can impress women. Those guys are worse off than the guys who walked away from the pussy, because they're still pandering. I mean, I'm somewhere in the middle, but ultimately, I'm here to tell you that that concept is wrong. Hypergamy is wrong. Now I will say this: women do tend to want a guy who has his stuff together because women want a man who can take care of her in this society, which is a financial society. They want a man who can take care of her while she's having babies. That's part of their sex drive, because in order to survive a pregnancy, in order to have children, successful, healthy children, the guy needs to be able to take care of her financially while she's pregnant for those 9 months. But actually, in today's society, that often doesn't happen. There's so many single mothers out there. These women have adapted, right? So you can even argue that, right? These women have adapted to the situation out there where you don't even have to have a man around to be pregnant for 9 months. The state will take care of you, right? I'm not saying that's the right way, but to say that, oh, all women are married. No, I mean, that, in general, we all want to be with somebody who has their stuff together. But to have this progressive concept and ideology that, like, oh, it's always the best. I need to be better and better and better and better. And where's the ceiling? Is there no ceiling? So I could make $1 billion, and so, like, no, I got to beat out Donald Trump so I could get somebody like Melania. It gets weird, man. That's not. I don't think that that's rational. I think that what that is it's an excuse for base female behavior. What it really comes down to is women don't have morals. What it really comes down to is they have cornered the sexual market because men are pushovers when it comes to sex. Men have no standards when it comes to sex. All the woman has to be is somewhat attractive, and women have exploited that. And the man is the one who does the chasing. Traditionally, the man is the one who traditionally does the courting, etc., and he initiates that, and it's the most fit male. It's been that way in a sense, but that's actually not even true either. What it really should be is the woman chooses the man who she feels like she could love, and the man chooses a woman who he feels like she could love. I can't tell you how many times I've had girls on my line, girls, texting girls, etc., that I just felt like I don't have anything in common with this girl. I don't like this girl's personality. I think she's annoying. I don't think I'm compatible with her personality. So that means I have standards. If I were just like, wow, she's got a great set of tits, I'm gonna marry her. Like, how shallow would I be? Actually, what I think is, can I have a conversation with her? Does she laugh at my jokes? Is she funny? Is she interesting? Can she have a conversation back with me? Is she smart? Those are things that I think of. It's like, yeah, I'm attracted to a nice pair of tits. I want somebody who's attractive. That's all great. But when it comes down to, like, well, does she have a personality, or is she just a wallflower? Is she just sitting there like, oh yeah, here I am, I'm pretty, and that's all that matters? Like, that turns me off, actually. No, that's not all that matters. I want you to have intellect. I want you to have rational thinking. I want you to be able to solve problems. I want you to be able to enjoy art. I want you to be able to read cool books. I want to know what cool books you've read. I want to know, like, what do you do for your hobbies? Like, is there anything interesting? Is there anything that we could both go do? Is there anything that, like, I find attractive as far as your personality goes? Like, do you have depth? Are you into philosophy? Are you into, like, you know what I mean? It's like, that's what I find attractive. I want a woman who's interesting. I want a woman who I like being around, who has a good personality, who is deep, and who can talk and have good conversations and things like that. That's hot to me. But a woman who's shallow and, like, oh, I can't talk about it. Like, I don't care how hot you are. I don't care if you look. I mean, look at porn. These girls are shallow as fuck. Like, they don't have any personalities. They're just like, yeah, look at me. I'm here. I'm hot. It's just like, well, cool. I'll fuck you. But, like, aside from that, like, I'm not gonna ever love you. What do you have to love? What's so cool about you? Like, you see what I'm saying? So it's like, that's how we should choose. And I think that people do choose based on that. It's just that we don't see it. It happens behind closed doors. And they go and live together, and they're happy and they're fine. They're minding their own business. It's just they're not in our face about it. The people who are in our face about it are the ones who are like, oh, I want a rich man. And the reason why they're single is because they want a rich man. They haven't found their rich man yet, because that's shallow. If they wanted a dude who was like, I just want to love a dude, then they probably fall in love. I just want to love a dude who's a regular dude, then we wouldn't hear about them, because they'd find their regular guy probably pretty quickly and go off and pair bond and be in love and live happily ever after and not give a fuck. right? And not care if anybody knows it, and not post up their life on social media. I see it a lot. There's people who I've had been friends with since I was a kid and been on my social media, and they've been married for 10, 15 years, you know, and they're living their life under the radar. They're not sitting there blasting up selfies every 5 days or every 5 hours or whatever. And the ones who are, they're the ones who don't have a life. They're the ones who live through social media. Those are the girls who never get married. Those are the girls who don't have good relationships. They're the girls who are single in their 30s. Yeah, they're hot and they can make nice, cool duck face selfies that are, everybody's like, oh yeah, you're so beautiful, da 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 da. But they never have successful relationships. They're losers for all intents and purposes. These women, these Instagram thoughts, they're not going to be able to have good relationships because they don't have anything inward. They don't have anything that's important in their inside. Everything they have is their tits and their ass. And these rich guys who, you know, like Dan Balzerian, who are balling out of control and fucking all the girls, like, you don't want to look up to that guy. You don't want to chase that guy because he doesn't have love. He might have abs, he might have a mansion, he might be banging tens, but that's not love, dude. He doesn't have love. He's probably not really fulfilled deep down inside. He doesn't have somebody to come home to and hold. He doesn't have somebody to hold him at night. He doesn't have someone to cuddle with. He doesn't have someone who kisses him and tells him that she loves him. He doesn't have someone who supports him through his hard times. That's what love is, bro. She leaves you for a better guy because you lost your job or you're suffering or something like that. You got ill. That was never love to begin with, man. That's just an outward situation. And it sucks that these guys don't see this, these PUA guys, and even the MGTOW guys. I feel sorry for those guys because all they see is these bad behaviored women, and all they see is these women who are trying to gold dig and this, that, and third, and then they think there's no good woman out there for them. And that's sad. That's sad because these guys are getting discouraged, and these guys are lonely, and it's fucking sad, man. It's fucking sad. Anyway, I think that's all I got to say about this. I think I made my point. I don't want to just ramble on, but I think the ultimate point is that don't give up on love and don't give up on hope that you can find somebody who loves you for you. Don't give up on the fact that there are sweet girls out there. And what I did for a lot of years is I made the mistake to just chase sex. I made the mistake to think that, oh, I just want a hot girl. And because I did that, I was playing into that quote unquote hypergamy, but really I was playing into the bad female behavior, right? So I was playing into that. I was playing into their game, them owning the sexual market. And because of that, I got eaten up. You know, what I really should have done is look for somebody who really loves me. What I really should have done is look for somebody who didn't care that I didn't make a lot of money. Somebody who really just wanted me for my personality. And that girl does exist, man. It's just that she's not, you know, she's not looking for what you think she's looking for. And she might not be in the place where you think you might find her. You know what I mean? You might find her in a really surprising place that you never would have thought to look because you maybe had your priorities skewed. You know what I mean? She ain't at the club. She ain't at the party. She's not on the dating site, probably. She might be on the dating site, but she's not there in the way that you think she's there. Or, you know what I mean? It's anyway. It does happen. Love does happen, and don't let anybody tell you that, oh, you got, you know, hypergamy is the only way women are, and this, that, and third. Don't let that happen. And like, there's some goodness in the red pill. There's some truth there, but really, if you think it through, you know, a lot of it is just sort of a scientific biology. Some guy came up with this term hypergamy, and then now we've taken it and we've ran with it and said, oh, all women are hypergamous, when really they just have bad behavior, man. It's just, they just don't have morals. You don't want to choose a woman who only wants you for your money. You don't want to choose that type of woman. You want to have better standards than that. You don't want to choose a woman who's out there fucking and sucking dudes and has no sexual morals. You don't want that woman. You don't want that woman to have your kids, because your kids are going to grow up shitty and you're going to have a bad marriage. You're probably not going to love anybody. Anyway, that's all I got to say. I appreciate you listening. Jay Lee Northwest Podcast. Peace.